Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new episode of NASCAR Heat 3 Career Mode. Today we go to Richmond for both Xfinity and the Cup Series, so hopefully we can have some good runs in this race. We usually run pretty decent at Richmond other than our first attempt at this track that went absolutely horrible, but ever since then we've been running good, and we had Greg Biffle in the Xfinity car for this race, so we had him back. He didn't have the best two first races at Daytona in Atlanta, but he still has a couple races left on his contract for us this season, and Richmond was one of the races. He started down in about 15th or so not the best qualifying effort for Greg as he tried to go down into turn 3, still in that 15th position here, and by the time he came to the midway point, working his way up to about 12th or so, but he got forced 3 wide by Alex LeBay as he came out of turn 2 down the back straightaway, so he'd fall back to the 13th position there as he went down into turns 3 and turns 4, and by the time he came to the final lap, still in that 13th position, holding on over Kaz Gralla as he came down into turns 3 and turns 4 for the final time. Biffle would come out of turn 4 sideways as he would come through across the line to get the 13th finishing position for us here in Richmond. So Biffle's best effort so far, still not very good, certainly not looking like the driver that we're going to want to be in the playoffs for us. So it looks like Eric Jones right now is still the strongest contender after about, I don't know, 6 or 7 races so far, 8 to be exact. But now it's time to set our sights on the Cup Series race here in Richmond. We got Richmond, Talladega, Dover, and Kansas coming up, a mix of tracks that I'm decent at and some that I struggle at. So it's kind of been the story of our season. We've had some struggles this season, and then we've had some good ups this season, obviously with a win at Martinsville, a good run in Bristol. Hopefully we can continue that. The short tracks have gone well for us this season so far, and we look to continue that today as we came into qualifying, heading down into turns 3 and turns 4. I didn't get the best lap I could have. Once again, but kind of in the story of our qualifying so far this season, as we would come across the line with a 20.887. We would get ready to start in the 13th position. Certainly could have probably gained another 6 or 7 spots with a good lap, but let's try to move our way forwards here at the short track of Richmond.
We're here at Richmond Raceway for the Toyota Owners 400. Tonight, the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series makes its first of 2 stops at America's premier short track. Located just outside of Richmond in Henrico County, this 3/4-mile D-shaped oval has just undergone a large infield redevelopment project that brings race fans closer to all the exciting action. Right now, we're ready to get closer to that action ourselves. The green flag is about to fly. It's time to go racing.
All right, we're ready to go green here in Richmond. Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick on the front row. They always seem to be on the front row. At least Harvick is. Stenhouse not as fast as expected. There you see your pole winner of Kyle Busch with his brother Kurt Busch on the 3rd position on the 2nd row there, as Ryan Truex starting in the back after failing optical scanning station multiple times as we get ready to go green here in Richmond from the 13th starting position as the green flag is out, and we are underway in Richmond behind the 12 of Ryan Blaney. As always, you're going to see the rear view mirror off quite a bit in this race because when I turn it on at Richmond, the frame rate drops an insane amount now as we come through turns 1 and turns 2. Paul Menard forcing a 3 wide up my inside early on in this event now as we come down the back straightaway, heading down into turns 3. Not able to get to the bottom, but we do get to the bottom behind Menard as we come through the center of the corner. Now sit still in that 13th position alongside Chris Buescher as we head down towards turns 1 and turns 2. You're going to see me looking behind more often probably in this race simply because of the frame rate mirror glitch, or I don't know if it's a glitch, but certainly just an annoyance now as we head down into turn 3 and turn 4, moving up through into the 12th position now as we look to the inside of Kyle Larson as we come into turn 4 through the front straightaway, trying to move up towards the top 10 early on here as we head down into turn 1 side by side with the 42, as we also look to the inside of our former teammate Clint Boyer from last season as we come down the back straightaway, heading down towards turn 3, now moving in to the top 10 as we head into the corner. We get hit from behind by someone, and it was the 42 of Larson who had came into turn 3 and punted me from behind, but thankfully we would hang on as we came through now to lap 7 of 24 in the stage, still in that 7th position, and Larson had run me right back down. He had a lot of speed early on, so I decided you can have the position, Kyle, because he was certainly way faster than I was, and I was just a roadblock to him. So I let Kyle Larson go, and we would give up the 7th position. And as we came to lap 12, we would actually have some trouble as we came out of turn 2, down the back straightaway, a spin from Bubba Wallace, and surprisingly, NASCAR Heat Logic would come into play, and the green flag would stay out as we came down into turns 1 and turns 2. Still in that 8th position now behind Ryan Blaney, who had gotten passed by Larson. We would look to Blaney's inside and try to pass him as we went down into turns 3 and turns 4, and we would complete the pass and move up into that 7th position. As I could not believe that, looking back after the race, that a green flag stayed out from that incident, as I had no idea it happened at first in the race because it was behind me. But yeah, it was certainly surprising to see that they kept the green flag out. And as we came towards the final lap in the stage, still in the 7th position, except Eric Almirola had been able to run me down now as we go down into turns 1 and turns 2 for the final time in stage 1. Now Larson and Kurt Busch, the two Ganassi drivers, battle up ahead as we come down the back straightaway for the final time in stage 1, just holding on to that 7th position over Almirola, who's close to my bumper, but not close enough now as we come out of turn 4. Almirola's going to look, but it's not going to be enough as we hold on to get 7th in the first stage here in Richmond. So a good result, starting 13th, moving up to 7th. Daniel Suarez up in the top 10, a great effort for him, as Kevin Harvick did win stage 1. We would stay out and get ready to restart here in the 7th position behind the two Ganassi drivers of Larson and Kurt Busch.
Coming to the green.
And we're ready to start the second stage now in Richmond. The green flag is back out, and we are underway for stage 2 now as we're on the back bumper of Kyle Larson as we head down towards turns 1 and turns 2. Daniel Suarez behind me as we head down side by side with the one of Kurt Busch. Chase Elliott leads that outside line. Not the best restart in the world for him now as he battles alongside the 22 of Joey Logano in the Pennzoil Mustang as we head down into turns 3 and turns 4, sticking our nose up the inside to get to the inside of Kyle Busch now, as Daniel Suarez behind me is just going to follow through as he's marching his way through the field. And immediately I noticed that the 41 certainly has a lot of speed in this race here in Richmond tonight, and I figured that he's probably going to be a factor for this win. I know that it's going to be hard for us to contend for a win at Richmond. It usually is, but we're going to do the best we can now as we come out of turn 4. Not able to look to the inside just yet of Chase Elliott as we hit lap 3 of 22, but now as we head down into turns 1 and 2, able to send it up the inside of Elliott as he is certainly falling off the pace a little bit here as we come down the back straightaway, looking to his left rear now as we head down into turn 3, making sure we stay on his inside, but we push up the track just a tiny bit now as we come out of turn 4, and Daniel Suarez is going to hop on the opportunity as he's going to look to my inside now as we come across the line, heading down into turns 1 and turns 2 as he is trying to march his way through the field, and I would have to give up the spot to him, as well as I believe Ryan Blaney on my inside now as we come down the back straightaway heading into turn 3. I would have to check up early just so I could get in line behind Ryan Blaney and settle into P7, and we would work our way back up to the 6th position as we came to lap 12 of 22 in the stage, but then Kurt Busch would look to my inside and he would try to pass me as we went down the back straightaway heading into turns 3 and turns 4. So Kurt Busch, he's also working his way forwards here in stage 2, and we would fall back once again to that 7th position as Daniel Suarez had continued to run up in the 4th position up ahead. He's having a great run, like I said earlier now, as we come into turn 2. So Kurt Busch passing us, moving down to 7th, and we would also lose the position to Eric Almirola as we were approaching the final lap now in the stage. As you see up ahead, a car smoking as we head down towards turns 1 and turns 2, which might make this a little bit interesting as they might check up a little bit here as we come out of turn 2. And that car is certainly going to slow up these cars in front of us, which gives us a chance to maybe send it in pretty deep into turn 3 and try to gain a position, which we try to do, but it's not going to be enough as we come out of turn 4 in stage 2. For the final time, we're going to get P8 in the second stage. So still a good result for us in stage 2, but would have been nice to finish it a little bit better, but unfortunately we just couldn't quite do that. And Kevin Harvick would once again win the stage. We would come to pit road, take 2 cans of fuel and 4 tires, and that would not go well for us. And this would certainly be a setback as we lose 16 positions, falling down to 24th for the start of this final stage. Now as we're ready to go green, and the green flag is out, and we are underway for the final stage in Richmond alongside Ty Dillon. Jimmy Johnson up ahead, who has won the Daytona 500 at the beginning of the season, but now Jimmy Johnson has been struggling a lot this season after that as we go down into turns 1, forcing it up the outside 3 wide with Brendan Gaughan and Jimmy Johnson as we come down the back straightaway heading down towards turn 3. We try to clear the 48 of Jimmy Johnson, but unable to do so as we make contact and move up the track now as we come out of turn 4, being pretty aggressive on this restart, trying to get to that inside line as we are able to do so now as we look up the inside of Brendan Gaughan as we head down into turns 1 and turns 2, trying to move up towards the top 20 now as we come down the back straightaway. And as we head down towards turn 3, settling in behind the 24 of William Byron, who once again struggles this season as we come out of turn 4. Martin Truex Jr., our teammate, not having a good race right now, as obviously he was a rival in our past, as we send it up the inside 3 wide with Byron and Truex trying to move ourselves now inside the top 20s. We also look to the inside of Paul Menard as we come down the back straightaway. As we head down towards turn 3, we would get ahead of Paul Menard and close in on the back of 7-time champion of Jimmy Johnson as we come out of turn 4 heading through the tri-oval. So certainly working our way forwards, and as we came to the lap 56, we went down to the inside of the 48 of Johnson. Now as we make a pass on him, going down through turns 3 and turns 4 as we battle side by side across the line, trying to move into P17 as we head down into turns 1 and turns 2, completing the pass on Jimmy Johnson as we come through the corners. And now we would try to get past Ricky Stenhouse Jr., but we would get into his back bumper and it wouldn't work. And as we came down to a lap later, setting up his inside as we went into turn 3, just barely touching the apron, but we would keep the car stabilized as we came out of turn 4, moving up into P14 at this point. And we would get past Landon Castle as well. Obviously, he is a much slower car, so we would pass him, and by the time we came to lap 61, moving into that 13th position, running down the cars up ahead of Eric Almirola. Now as we come down the back straightaway, a puff of smoke comes from the 10, and he goes spinning into turn 3, and we go up the track, and he comes up in front of us. But we just barely avoid the incident, as I could not believe we just had managed to avoid that car. Almirola went spinning low, so I went high, and then he just shot back up the track right in front of me. But thankfully, we just barely avoided that. We could have just drove right into the side of him and damaged our car and been sent to the back. But we got very lucky as the green flag would come out once again here in stage 3. 36 laps remain at this point now as we head down into turns 1 and turns 2. I was very thankful for this caution because now we definitely have a chance to rally back for a top 10 at the very least. Now, we're going to send it up the middle with De Benedetto and Hemrick there. That was a very ambitious move on my part. I certainly don't usually make moves like that, but I was really wanting to get up towards the top 10 because I know we have a top 10 car now as we send it up the inside of Ty Dillon with a bit of a crossover on him as we come out of turn 2, moving into P11 as we come down the back straightaway, heading down towards turn 3. Logano behind us. We're going to kind of throw a block on him going down into turns 3, closing in on the back of Hemrick and Kurt Busch as Kevin Harvick right now continues to lead as he has dominated this whole race. Daniel Suarez up into the 3rd position. Like I said, a great run for Suarez. Awesome to see him up there now as we come out of turn 2 side by side with Kurt Busch. Now as we head down into turn 3, we're going to send it up the inside of Hemrick and Newman, making it 3 wide as we've been making quite a few aggressive moves in this race, but we've kind of set up perfectly to make these aggressive moves as the AI have left open some holes that have allowed me to take big opportunities. And by the time we came to lap 73, we had run down Kyle Busch and Joey Logano. Now looking to the inside of Logano as we come across the line, trying to move up into that 7th position now as we head down into turns 1 and turns 2. Alex Bowman has worked his way into the top 10 behind us, so a great run once again for the 88 of Bowman, who's having a much better season in our career mode than he has in the past. Now as we head down into turns 3 and turns 4, by the time we hit 20 to go, now approaching 19 to go, on the back bumper kind of Kyle Busch. He had actually started to pull away as we came to lap 83. He's still about 3 or 4 car lengths ahead as we head down into turns 1 and turns 2. We do close the gap up a little bit, but as every time we would come through turn 4, he would be able to stretch that gap out even more. By the time we came to lap 90, he had stretched out another few car lengths or so as we came through to hit 10 laps to go in this race, just not quite having the speed to match Kyle Busch as we sit P7 as we came to lap 92, still about the same gap as we would just continue to ride in this position. Kurt Busch would slowly start to close the gap on me as well, and as we approached the final few laps of this race, we would actually work our way into lap traffic now, looking to the inside of Corey LaJoie to put him a lap down as we have a bunch of lap cars up ahead. Chase Elliott at this point had actually taken the lead of this race, and as we were approaching the white flag now, still on the back bumper of Kyle Busch, now looking to his outside as we come out of turn 4. The white flag is in the air as we look to the inside of Cody Ware as we head down into turns 1 and turns 2. All of the front runners right here together in lap traffic as we come through turns 1 and turns 2. Chase Elliott, though, has managed to get away as he is setting his sights on his win number 1 of the season as we head down into turns 3 and turn 4 for the final time, sending it in deep, and it's not going to pay off now as we come out of turn 4. Chase Elliott wins in Richmond, and Kurt Busch edges me out at the line as we finish in the 8th position as we had like a pack of 10 cars right there coming to the line. That was certainly one of the more odd finishes I've had at Richmond. There's Chase Elliott gets win number 1 on the season. Harvick second after winning stage 1 and 2. Harvick still winless right now, as Suarez, he was also able to get the 3rd position. So great day for some drivers here in Richmond now as we bring home an 8th place finish, which isn't the best, obviously, but I was happy with it there as we sit now P5 in the standings, quite a ways behind the leader of Kevin Harvick. We had just so much trouble at the beginning of the season. It certainly put us behind now as we sit P5 in the standings. But if you guys enjoyed this episode, make sure to comment, like, and subscribe. Those would all be very appreciated, and we certainly have nothing but happy messages from drivers, which is always nice to get. As in the next episode, we will be going to Talladega, so we usually know how Talladega goes. It's not usually the best plate race on the schedule. The AI struggle to produce good plate racing at Talladega versus Daytona, where they usually put on a pretty good show, but hopefully we can run good at Talladega. We've had some good runs there in the past, so we've also had a flip there in season 2, which went absolutely horribly. That was our first career DNF, but we, like I said, go to Talladega next episode, so it should be a fun one. Hopefully we can produce a good result there, and I'm not sure exactly who we'll have in the Xfinity car yet, but we'll see. But there you see the playoff grid now, as Suarez, the first guy out, now 40 points behind, so he's got a little bit of work to do, but if he runs like Richmond, he will definitely work himself up to the playoffs now, as Austin Dillon is the last spot in. So thank you for watching, everybody. I will see you guys in Talladega. Have yourselves a great day.